Welcome to the Invite Health podcast, where our degreed healthcare professionals are excited to offer you the most important health and wellness information you need to make informed choices about your health. You can learn more about the products discussed in each of these episodes and all that Invite Health has to offer at www.invitehealth.com/podcast. First-time customers can use promo code podcast at checkout for an additional 15% off your first purchase. Let's get started.
With cold and flu season being right around the corner, that means it is time for acute bronchitis season to flare up as well. Today, I want to talk a bit about what acute bronchitis is and what you can be doing to support your respiratory system. I am Amanda Williams, MD, MPH, and let's get right to it. We know that every single year, roughly 5% of the population deals with acute bronchitis. And we know that this can lead to over 10 million office visits at doctor's appointments every single year. And we understand that, like many viral diseases of the respiratory tract, acute bronchitis is commonly seen in the fall and winter months. So we can look at what acute bronchitis is. It's actually an acute inflammation that occurs within the respiratory bronchi. And this triggers the secondary inflammatory response in the body. So that inflammation of the bronchial walls leads to a mucosal thickening. And this is incredibly problematic because if someone has acute bronchitis, or if you've ever experienced it yourself, you know that you're going to present with this very productive cough. You're going to have a difficult time breathing often. You'll have wheezing. And the predominant complaint is this thick sputum or mucus that you continue to cough up. And we know that this is not associated with a bacterial infection. So many times you'll show up to the doctor and you've got this yucky cough and you're coughing up this, hacking up all this stuff. And sometimes they'll put you on an antibiotic, but it's actually a virus. And generally, it's always going to be a virus that triggers this. So you can go in and you can do the, chest x-ray and you can look in all of those things. And generally that's going to come back as normal. But when you're dealing with acute bronchitis, that's the last thing you're thinking about. You just want it to go away. And we know that viral infections are the main driver to this. So looking at natural ways to allow your immune system to really get a better grasp on the respiratory system and allow the body an added layer of protection, one would say. So we can look at things like Acetylcysteine. We know that this is great because not only is it going to help to bolster up your natural glutathione production, we also recognize that NAC helps to thin out that mucus. So we know that inflammatory response creates the thickening of the mucus within the respiratory bronchi and down into the lungs. And we know that the NAC helps to thin that out. So oftentimes when people have, or they're prone to acute bronchitis and they have this hacking cough for, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks throughout the fall and the winter, if you start to utilize NAC, many times this can do so much in terms of minimizing those yucky symptoms. We can, understand that, the signs and symptoms of acute bronchitis generally always present in a very similar way. And we can have, like I said, that wheezing and that shortness of breath and feeling tired and even a low-grade fever. Because remember, the immune system is under attack from a virus. So the viruses can be the influenza virus. It can be the rhinovirus. It can be from environmental irritants, potentially in the air, that might trigger this. But we usually are going to be looking at the common cold as being the main driver for this. So, making sure that we are once again following a healthy diet, that we are, taking things like Immunity HX to get that vitamin C, that zinc, and that vitamin D. But we also have to look at things like black seed extract. And the black seed will help to ease inflammation throughout the respiratory system. And then it's combined with that rosemary extract that really helps to offset some of the other allergen triggers, such as histamine. So that's the last thing we want when we have acute bronchitis, is to add insult to injury and have a histamine flare up. So having the rosemary in combination with that black seed and then having the cordyceps mushroom to once again enhance our immune defenses is a really wonderful kind of combination formulation for acute bronchitis. Now, for many people that I've dealt with that, come in and talk about how they have this cough that just won't go away, that's usually that combo that I'll do. It's going to be NAC, generally speaking, 3 caps per day, the black seed extract. While you're very symptomatic, you'd be doing 2 caps twice a day, and then taking one of the Immunity HX formulations. Because while acute bronchitis is self-limited and will go away on its own, we definitely want to make sure that we are not creating more problems or any lingering negative impacts throughout the respiratory tract. So taking these nutrients in can really help to allow the body to have a more manageable healing process. And that's why I turn to these. So we definitely know that for the standard treatment, if you go in and you see your doctor, many times they'll go ahead and they'll give you that antibiotic, and that is not going to do anything besides, in a sense, create kind of that placebo effect. And understanding the difference between acute bronchitis and chronic bronchitis, because chronic bronchitis, that's going to be more in that realm of COPD, for example. And acute bronchitis, that's going to be, due to exposure to a virus, influenza, rhinovirus, or like I said, maybe some type of an air pollutant that has created a significant amount of inflammation within the respiratory bronchi themselves. So, you want to practice your, safe practices such as washing your hands and, definitely, wearing a mask if you have bronchitis so you're not coughing out that virus onto others. That's definitely very important. We want to make sure that we're staying hydrated. We're getting those key nutrients, those vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants from our food as well as through supplementation, and trying to get adequate rest. Because remember, our immune system is very forgiving to us when we allow it that time to do its normal repair process. So acute bronchitis, this is the season. We know it drives up so many doctor's appointments. And when people have acute bronchitis, remember, 95% of those cases are going to be because of a virus, not because of a bacteria. So don't be running off to your doctor and being put on an antibiotic, which can then create an issue with bacterial resistance. And at the same time, it actually lowers your immune system, and it can create an environment in which that bronchitis can actually last longer, because we're now wiping out our good, healthy microbiome via that antibiotic. So do the right things, eat the right foods, stay hydrated, get rest, and make sure that you include things like NAC, black seed, and the Immunity HX. That is all that I have for you for today, and I want to thank you so much for tuning in to the Invite Health podcast. Remember, you can find all of our episodes for free wherever you listen to podcasts or by visiting invitehealth.com/podcasts. Do make sure that you subscribe and you leave us a review. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Invite Health, and we will see you next time for another episode of the Invite Health podcast.